So you mentioned stability, and I want to push you back on that a little bit. We can have stability where everybody gets along and everybody feels like they're, on the same sides, and there's no tension and nothing good is happening for kids. So to make change, I mean, when you make change, it often makes people uncomfortable, and people have to give up what's settled and what they can count on. So stability in itself and getting along in itself is not necessarily a good thing.
Right.
How do you establish kind of a creative tension in which you're taking on tough issues in a productive way and really moving the ball forward?
I think very good question. I think it goes back, you take a step back and say, well, obviously that tension's going to be there. How do you manage that? And how do you agree to move it forward in a proper way? I think that it requires a union leader who understands that change is necessary in a context. Requires a superintendent and governance board that knows that that change has to occur. And so I'm not saying that there's not creative tension. Lord knows we have had our verbal fistfights about various things, and people accuse me and he of giving too much. But it was always going forward productively, understanding that tension. If it was just kumbaya, nothing would change. So I appreciate what you're saying. I think that tension would always be there. But if you're looking at it as we're going towards a place, here's some things that we can get to. Struck by a button, I think it's AFT button. Do it to me. Do it with me, not to me. Yeah. That's leadership 101, and I think that has to be part of the toolkit of leadership of a school district moving forward, is listening and giving the opportunity for people who are the closest to the children in the classrooms to have a voice. Doesn't mean you do what they say all the time, but it certainly have a voice in that decision-making process before it becomes a decision.
And in that dynamic, teachers will say, well, I'm being held accountable, but I have no say. Mm-hmm. And also, when we've gone into schools, well, it's not my fault. I'm working hard. I haven't had the resources. Well, now, I believe you have the accountability anyway. So you have to fight for the voice, and you really have to fight for the voice. To your point about everyone getting along, a partnership is not easy. Mm-hmm. What's easy is I think is the traditional roles. Because you're not taking any risk, and you're appealing to a tradition, if you will. Mm-hmm. I'm here to protect you, and I'm here to maintain the status quo, and if it happens to us, at least it wasn't by my hand. I think that's a role that unions have to move away from. Mm-hmm. That this is serious times, and it requires serious people. Back to my original point, where you can provide cover for a president, for a superintendent and a board. Not only cover, but demand the accountability. It can come from a political structure that just demands accountability, that demands people work together. Not because, so to the end that everyone gets along. I would be told many a times, it seems like you and the superintendent seem to get along. It doesn't make it, do you like them? It doesn't matter. I happen to, yeah. I said, but do we have a lot in common? No. Is this a natural? We don't have those luxuries. My job is to work with who's there. Mm-hmm. But all too often, there's no guidelines or actually demand that these are the rules of engagement. This is the expectations. Mm-hmm. You want to be union president? Well, come to the table with your best ideas, or stay home. If you want to be superintendent, you have to be able to work with that union president. You have to be able to inspire those teachers, to give them the trust and give up the control, and not look at power as a zero-sum game. And from a union perspective, the only security that's going to be guaranteed is the one that you can work on every day by being at the table, putting your best ideas forward. All too often we shut that out because either we panic, because we have preconceived notions. We come in with a game plan without looking at who the players are and will this work. But I really believe that there's an opportunity for political leaders to do things a hell of a lot different and create these environments where these are the expectations and people don't have to figure it out for themselves, because they might not.
Thanks, Steve. I've been speaking with Steve Smith, who is the current president of the Providence Teachers Union, and Tom Brady, who is the former superintendent of the Providence City Schools. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.